Today, so many of you have joined. I think you have already missed 4 classes. Um, so today, what I will be doing is I will be doing Dance of the Forest. Block 3, I will start Dance of the Forest. Dance of the Forest by uh, Bolo Soyinka. Just a minute, I'll just start in a minute. Just a minute. Yes, so I will tell you about um, the author and have anybody read this text? Hello, has anybody read this text earlier? Okay, okay. So coming to this um, Soinka's play, A Dance in the Forest. This was first performed, um, was performed for the first time during Nigeria's independence, and explored many issues related to independent movement in Nigeria, relation to the tradition, to the history, and the Nigerian politics. And in this play, Soinka seems to stress, that it is the duty of Nigerians to get rid of the evil out of the society. So the play warns the people of Nigeria that if they do not remain alert, history will repeat itself, and people would, repeat their mistakes. So you find Soinka's, A Dance of the Forest begins with the dead woman and dead man emerging from the ground. This is MEG 8 I'm doing, MEG 8. I hope you have got the timetable. How have you joined? I hope you must have got the timetable. Please follow the timetable. So then you find, uh, those who do not have MEG8 can leave. So among the characters, you find, there seem to be, no protagonist and or antagonist, and the normal practice um, you find where gods, act as an antagonist of the subject, and the play, includes a story in which the living invites the dead ancestors to grace their celebration. So this is not only a distortion and exaggeration of reality, but also a fictional that overrides the reality of the whole story, and the whole play establishes Soinka's as a moralist, and the story is an inflation of Soinka's social political concern. Okay. So the play is a social political commentary which is set in 1960s as a part of the celebration of Nigeria's independence, which mean that you find that the story opens, with more than critics who have acknowledged, and the play includes, Ogun. Ogun is God. Ogun, who has displayed in the story as a symbol of alliance of disparities. Okay, am I clear? I hope I'm you're getting me. Okay. Now you find he's described as the Dionysian, Apollonian, Promethean essence, which means that he is the god or creation as well as destruction, god of love, and at the same time god of hatred, and the god of protection as well as punishment. So in the play, you find Soika seems to convey that what is good can also be a term as bad. And unlike in Hegelian philosophy, where the contraries naturally resolve themselves, according to Soinka's imaginative world would a world they do not resolve, and rather they may resolve in negativity. So, dance in the forest, you find, which is one hand we judge is Prometheus for stealing. On the other hand, we sympathize with him because he's told to, prosecute an act of kindness. So, Soinka uses Ogun to represent the principles of individualism versus collectiveness, civilization versus permivity, and light versus darkness. Okay, so that is why the play ends without any of the three major conflicts, that is between Ogun and Ishwaro, living between living between the living and the dead, and conflict between living and the unborn, which is resolved. So Ogun enters the stage bearing remote, looking at the sky anxiously, and he carries a gun and cutlass, and the sun creeps through. Ogun gently down the smoke, leaves his weapon beside him, flees. Oshoru is still dancing as the foremost of the beaters break on the scene, and we find later flees after his gesture. So this you find in Soinka's page number 76. So in this from the text, so you find in this episode it could be hard to understand the action of leading dead woman with half child out of the stage. So thus you find the play raises more questions, more than answers. So you find Soinka's dramatic play also reveals his vision of humanity as a metaphysical and mythological, and he seems to believe that human existence is characterized by consciousness, the ability to reason and act on their on their lived experience. However, according to Soinka's play, Yoruba seems to be displayed as different from European people who are with purely conceptual aspect of time. And it is said that, unlike the Western Europa, see human existence as being, made of living, dead, and the unborn. So you find he views the present human as the child of the past and the future, and further you find of the future. And this you find in page number 36 of the text. So Yoruba, believes existence of continuity in the world of living, where which includes, the born and the unborn, and therefore, according to Soinka, human's life is cycling with no beginning and no end. It conveys that the life of the dead has its continuation in that of living, which in turn continues in that of unborn. So you find this is seen in the episode where there is an umbilical cord, tying the living to the dead ancestors and their unborn. Okay. Okay. So you find the dead man and the dead woman symbolize the past of the living, while the half child symbolizes the future. So all are tied together in a metonymic quest, for the essence. Okay, for the essence of the meaning of life. Metonymic. What is metonym? Metonym is the substitution of the name of an attribute or adjunct for the for that of the thing meant. Okay. So you find Soinka uses Rola, Madame Tortoise, to convey a prostitute who is, responsible for death of the men now. And 8 centuries ago, you find that. Okay, so what happens? She was also a prostitute queen responsible for death of dead man and dead woman and many other in the senseless war. And here you find the writer seems to condemn a woman for being, prostitute, and this represents how woman is in Soinka's world are treated. So you find it is also important to note that according to the writer's world, Rolla seems not to differentiate between the capitalistic tendencies of businessmen who ruin the poor through their own action, but they seem to argue that they are the product of their society, the same way the society is the product of her. So you find that they are also unworthy of their reasoning that when one was killed, was it killing on my behalf? When he kills herself, can it be claimed that he did it for me? And he only did for himself, so leave me out of this. This is there in page number 36. So you find instead of seeing Rola's prostitution as responsible for death of men, Rola argues that men kill themselves because of their ego. And therefore you find what Soinka revealed is that as long as women are blamed for their prostitution, men should always also be blamed for patronizing them. And therefore, you find Soinka cautions the society for making simple moral judgments. And Soinka's play, you find, displays the forest father as subprime deity in Soinka's world. And the fact that he is displayed as forest father is enough to suggest that his omnipotent figure, the forest father, also reveals also that the fooleries of being whom I have fashioned closer to me, various distress me. And this you find in page number 31. So this reveals that the forest father is the creator in according to Soinka's imaginative world. And it also revealed through Ogun that forest father are spiritual and have metaphysical power, as he acknowledges that he is one, you know mass squandering as Obenji to bring that other character judgment. So he has the power to take up any form, which shows that he is presence, his omnipresence, and yet, in spite of knowledge, knowing everything as a deity, he still says that he has seen so much. Oh no, I have seen so much, it simply doesn't impress me. That's all I have told you. Recognition is the curse I carry with me. I don't want to know anymore. So, and then you find that, um, just a minute. So, this is the part which I told you. So I'll just briefly tell you about the characters. Coming to the characters, we have first the dead man. Dead man was a soldier in the former life who was castrated for his unwillingness to go to the war against a neighboring tribe, and he took issue with the motives of going to war, and so refused to participate, and he was sold to a slave dealer and eventually killed. So you find during this time of the play, he has been brought back to life by Aroni to settle the unfinished business of his ill-fated death. And then you have the dead woman. The dead woman is was pregnant with the dead man's child when she attempted, to plead for her husband's life in the court at Mata Kharibu, and her plea was rejected as she and her husband were killed. Okay. Then we have Forest Head. The Forest is God who attempts, to have the four characters who tortured the dead man and dead woman in the past life and remembered their sins and atone for them. And then we have Rolla. Rolla is a prostitute, and we find who was once Madame Tortoise in a past life and queen to Mata Karibu, and she was known for driving men to madness, and yes, she is the reason the dead man Sholcher was castrated and his wife was killed. Then we have Dimok. Dimok is a carver who was once a poet in the past life, and you find while carving an Araba tree, he pushed his apprentice and Oremol, from the tree to his death, and the forest head wants him, to see the sin that he has committed, atone for him. Okay, so and then we have just a minute. Yeah, and then we have was a court historian for Mata Tarihu, who accepts a bribe from a slave, trader to sell the soldier as a slave, and even wrongfully, stating that the ship he will travel in is not, torturous. Okay, are you all getting me? Just hold on for a minute. Yeah. So then we have the next character, that is, Agboriko. So Agboriko is, the elder and sealed lips, the elder of the sealed lips that you find in a former life. He was a soothsayer in the court of Mata Karibu, and predicted that the stars, did not favor a victory for the king if he, choose to go to war. And then we have Ishoro is a wayward spirit who is seeking, vengeance for the death of Ormol, and he seeks, Dimok and as Ormol's murderer, and is vengeful and, spiteful throughout, the play. Okay, I hope I'm clear with the characters. Kajal, Ruchi, Tuli Chakravarti, are you listening? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it's coming to the, plot. So, the dance, a play which, begins with a dead man and dead woman, breaking from their free, breaking free from their burial. You find from their burial, in the soil in the middle of the forest, and they ask, those who that, pass by, to take their case. And the man and the woman were, a captain, and his wife is, in a past life, and was tortured and killed by an emperor, by the name of Mata Karibu. So, and his queen nicknamed Madame Tortoise. So the dead man and his wife, have come to the gathering of the tribes, and were, sent here by Aroni, a god with permission from the forest head, and in place of the forefathers that the living have requested to join them. Okay. So the four characters you find come through the forest initially, and Rolla, who's the prostitute, once upon a time, she was known as Madame Tortoise, and a queen for the previous life. And Adinabi is a court historian in the time of the Emperor Mata Karibur, now a council orator. And Agboreko, who was a soothsayer, was to Mata Karibu in the past life, plays the same role of this in this life too. And finally, you find Dimok, who is now a carver, but was once a poet in the court. So Arami has selected these four in order for them to gain, knowledge about the past lives and to atone for their sins. So another character is Obaneji. Obaneji is actually in the forest head, which is disguised in human form, and he invites the characters to join in a welcome dance for the dead man and woman. So Ishoro, a wayward, spirit-seeking vengeance for the death of Ormol, demokes, apprentice and comes and interrupts the proceedings. So you find he claims that Demok killed him by pulling him off the top of an, Araba tree, and they were carving, and it was caused him to fall to his death. Ogun, you find the god of carvers, stands up for Demok against Ishoro claim, and we learn here that Demok, encouraged the cutting of the Araba tree, and also that there was a great fire in which 65 to 70 people were killed. So, as the play you find forwards, we are taken back in the time into the court of Mata Karibu, where we learn that the dead man was a soldier who led Karibu men, and the soldier refuses to go to war, again, you know. Um, against another tribe because Karibu has taken the tribe leader's wife, that is Madam Tortoise. So you find all of these characters from the earlier part of the play, but from later in time, you find are seen as court counselors of Karibu, and they do not help the soldier who is castrated and given to a slave dealer. So the scene you find ends as the soldier's wife comes in pregnant, and it is left up to the audience to determine how she is killed. So the forest are then, smoked out by humans with a petrol truck, and then you find the forest head says that he must pierce the, encrustations of soul deadening habit and bear, the mirror of original nakedness. So he, exits knowing that he is alone in the fight, and Dimok is led to climb up a totem he builds by, Ashura, who lights the totem on fire. So you find Dimok, falls and joins his father and the other mortals, and they discuss what they have learned. Okay, am I clear with the plot? Ruchi, Tuli? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So next we'll talk about the symbols, the motives. So we find in this smoking out of the forest. It represents a symbol. The old man, sends for a truck to smoke out the forest with the petrol fumes, all in order to, find his son. And this event is symbolic of the way that humans are willing to disrupt and destroy nature in order to get what they want. Then we have the coin purse in the court of Mata Karibu. The slave dealer's, hands the historian a coin purse in exchange for his agreement that his ship is a worthy vessel. And to join purse is a symbol of how bribery and corruption work in the court of Mata Karibu. So people are willing to get paid off in order to turn a blind eye to just injustice. And the coin purse also symbolizes their greed and the fact that they can be brought. So then you find the out of soil is also a symbol. Out of soil means these, the dead man and the dead woman, coming up, out of the soil in the opening of the play, which symbolizes the journey from the subterranean world of the dead to the world of living. And it represents that they are not alive, but it also represents that they have unfinished business and that they come with issues that have been buried and that they are literally and figuratively bringing to light. Okay, so these are the symbols that you find. So you find music and rituals as motive, and you find throughout the play, music and ritual are used as theatrical devices to illuminate elements of the nature of the sorry, narrative and render the story in different ways. So music, ritual, poetry, and possession root the play in Yoruba traditions, from which Wole Soyinka was taking his inspiration, and they also serve to abstract the events so that the spiritual, emotional, and ethical truths of the story are further illuminated. So, for instance, we can say there are certain parts of the story that are so outside the realm of literal reality, such as the presence of the the dead woman's half child in the narrative. That the rituals serve to make sense of events and images that a reader might have a hard time understanding otherwise. So you find the play as an allegory for the Nigerian politics. While many celebrated the play when it was performed in 1916 to celebrate Nigerian independence, its critics believed that it was attacking Nigerian politics, and it interpreted it as a warning for the future. So many of the play's critics were members of the Nigeria's elite who saw the play as an exposing post colonial Nigerian politics as corrupt. And we find the play has been interpreted as an allegory for the ways in which Nigerians were tasked with casting away the structures of colonialism and beginning anew, trying to find better political modes. While we find Soyinka's depictions of morals and spirits alike as fallible can be read as an indictment of Nigerian politician in the post-colonial moment in which it was written. So it can also be interpreted as offering a more, idealistic vision of what might be in the future. So this possibilities and potentials for a country on the brink of crafting a new identity. Okay, so then we see, the different uh, the metaphors and the we see, forest head as a metaphor because the character of the forest head is himself a metaphorical figure. In that, he represents the forest itself, and he and the other forest spirits, you know, that populate the forest are embodiments of the natural world, and as such, function as the metaphorical personification of inanimate elements. Okay. So then we have the dead man and the dead woman. The dead man and the dead woman are also, metaphorical figures in that they are, representations of death and unfinished, business. We find in spite of being, living, breathing, moving figures. So they represent the world of the dead. Then we have perhaps, the statement, perhaps I have started a new disease that spreads quickly. So this is also a metaphor. Why? Because we find when the warrior speaks out against the war in Mata Karibu's court, the physician suggests that the warrior is becoming dangerous because he's sowing dissent among his fellow warriors. So this pleases, the warrior who says, perhaps I have started a new disease that spreads quickly. So this, disease is which he refers is dissent and rebellion among the warriors in Mata Karibu's army. Am I clear? Are you getting me? Tuli, are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think others have left.
Others have left. I think Ruchi might have got some phone
Got
calls.
disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Ruchi
Maybe
will.
later on.
Yeah, yeah. Tuli, you joined today, right?
Yeah, actually, I've joined today. To be very frank, I have, I'm listening to you very seriously. But since I've joined in between, can you please let me know the play? And I've understood it's about the dead man and dead woman. But this is a play. But Can you
Yeah,
please
this,
give
the
me a
play
such
is
some introduction?
the play is the Dance of the Forest.
Okay.
Dance of the Forest by Soinka, which is block 3 of MEG 8.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah.
I did not interrupt you because you were teaching, so I
Okay.
have taken note. Uh, Block three of.
Block 3 of MEG 8, New Literatures
Okay.
of English.
Mm.
Okay, now coming to the next metaphor, that is, this line was spoken by Rolla. I also have no pity for the one who invested foolishly. Investors, that is all they ever were to me. So, this line is spoken by Rolla, and the current manifestation of Madame Tortoise when Adinabi, accuses her of toying, when men's hearts are ruining them,
Mm.
and she suggests that her situations were simply business transactions, and compares her suitors to investors in a business. So thus you find she uses the metaphor of business to describe her romantic attachments. Then we
Okay.
have a simile. Yes,
Mm.
Tulli. Yes.
Yes, sir. I'm taking notes. Simile.
Yeah. Similarly, is you find it was smoking like a perpetual volcano.
Yeah.
Okay, it was smoking like a
The
perpetual
perpetual
volcano.
volcano.
So
Mm.
Obenachi and Adinebi discuss the lorry, the chimney of Ereko, and Adinebi describes it as smoking like a perpetual volcano.
Mm.
So you find this is a simile to describe the lorry when
Mm.
it catches on fire by comparing it to a fixture of nature and a volcano.
Mm.
Okay, so then coming to the irony.
Mm.
Yeah, so you find Ogun tells Murit that he is not Ogun when Murit is drunk. And you find throughout the play, characters' identities blend, and bleed. And a person says they are one person, but then they turn out to be someone else. Additionally, you find
Mm.
the spirits of the forest often assume different identities in order to, trick others and further, their own motives. So, for instance, you can say that Ogun, the patron god of carvers, goes to visit Murit while Murit is drunk, and he tells Murit that he is not actually Ogun, which creates a situation of a dramatic irony. But in that, the audience, knows something that Murit cannot recognize because of his compromised state. Okay,
Mm.
so
Yeah.
then you have the next dramatic irony. You have Ishwaro. Ishwaro does not, know that he has been drawn towards the festivities by Forest Head and Aroni. So before the welcoming dance, you find Aroni and the Forest Head discuss the fact that they will lure the wayward spirit
Mm.
Eshwaro to the festivities. But however, you find he has no idea that they are doing so, which constitutes another instance of the dramatic irony. And later you see the warrior becomes the dead man. Now, this is also a dramatic irony. You find in the flashback to the court of Mata Karibu, we see that the dead man is in his former life. as you know, the dissenting warrior who Matakaribu has castrated and sold into slavery. But this scene is an instance of dramatic irony in that the reader audience knows that is the warrior will become the dead man who comes back to reckon with his former oppressors. But the characters in Matakaribu's court has no idea that they will one day atone for their heartless actions. Okay, am I clear? And the last
Yes, sir.
situational irony, you have the situational irony that is demock. Initially, you
Situa-
find, yes,
Pardon, this situational irony?
the situational irony that is demock the character.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hmm.
initially you find Dimmock, says that he saw a man fall down off the tree, to
Hmm.
his death.
Hmm.
And ironically, it comes to light that the man who fell was Oremon and
Hmm.
Dimmock's, apprentice, and Dimmock was the one who pushed him and caused
Hmm.
his death. Okay.
Hmm.
So he has caused, but he is saying that he saw a man fall down out of the tree to his death.
Hmm.
Okay, am I
Yes,
clear?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yeah.
till this we will do till today, and
Okay.
tomorrow then I will talk to you about. We will discuss about the imagery. We'll discuss about the theater during that period and the literary elements which are associated with
Mm-hmm.
this play. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay then. Thank you.
Okay.